Well, good evening, and thanks for clicking on to the Friday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. The reason why I'm looking up is because I'm looking at the time. This is the first video that I've done at the back of 5 p.m. without a lamp on and still having daylight. So we are really starting to see a big difference in the nights in terms of daylight. So we are creeping ever closer to spring. But yeah, we've seen some big variations in temperature this morning. Where we had the cloud and the breeze, we had temperatures slightly above the freezing mark. But where we had shelter from both the breeze and the cloud, we've seen temperatures drop at Aviemore to minus 9.3 Celsius with minus 5 at Loch Lisgarnock. But several areas you can see here, most areas in fact, staying around about or just above the freezing mark. Even down across England and Wales, we had temperatures above the freezing mark largely. Milder across the southwest, we had 5 and 6 Celsius. Down across the southwest of Ireland, this is a sign of things to come, by the way. 8 along the southwest and south coast of Ireland. But big variations, like I say, in terms of the temperature. Driving up the A9 from about Dalwhinnie, the temperature was still around 0 to +1. Get a few miles to the north, and it was down to minus 6, minus 7 Celsius. One of the quickest drops I've seen in terms of such a short distance, such a short period of time. What an incredible contrast in terms of the temperature. It really does. It almost made you second look that on the dashboard when I was driving north. But all the while, we do have some cold temperatures dropping once again. But the minimum temperatures this morning were pretty notable. We did see temperatures of +3, +4 Celsius along the coast and exposure of that breeze and perhaps some cloud cover. But this was the area here, Central Highland, in and around the Aviemore Car Bridge area, points just to the north. These were the pockets that we've seen at the lowest temperatures, and we did see at Insharn a temperature of minus 12.4 Celsius according to the Highland Weather Network. These are the current temperatures as the sun starts to drop. Just bear with a second and I'll show you. And we obviously have clear skies, lighter winds the further north you go, and that is where the temperatures are dropping off. Where we're starting to see winds picking up, we're going to see the temperatures holding steady above the freezing mark during the overnight. Look at 13s at Kerry and Shannon and Valencia at the time of recording just after 5 p.m. So a positively spring-like feel across southern portions of Ireland. Latest radar is looking like this here. There is an area of low pressure that is going to introduce milder air. That milder air is going to run up over a layer of low-level cold air, and we're going to see quite a messy picture through the course of tomorrow. Heavy rain across the south, where it is positively mild through the column. But then as you progress eastwards across the UK, this is where the temperature profile becomes more varied, more complex. We are going to see a mix of rain, some sleet, even the low levels the further east you go, especially east of the Pennines. We are going to see a sleet-snow mix above 100 to 150 metres above sea level. We are also going to see freezing rain as well. As that milder air, you don't have to go particularly high up in elevation, but you've got slightly above freezing temperatures in the, kind of probably the 4,000 to 5,000 foot level, while we've got temperatures around the freezing mark, possibly even slightly below, down closer to the surface. And it's as that moisture runs into the colder air, it becomes super cooled. It doesn't have enough time to change from rain to snow, and therefore it freezes on impact with the surface or any surface area, whether it be a car or the ground or a lamppost or whatever. So mix of weather through the course of tonight and into particularly tomorrow. We're going to see clear skies and lighter winds the further north you go, so therefore we're going to see temperatures quite subdued through the course of the morning. Notice here that we've got a lot cleaner air actually associated with this area of low pressure as it starts to drive milder air from the southwest towards the UK. There's that pocket of sunshine and milder Atlantic air present over western and southwestern Ireland, hence why we've got temperatures currently at 13 Celsius. In terms of snow depth, this is the ECMWF. No, it is not. It's the Met Office projection. Always managed to screw it up some way. Projections in terms of snow cover, and you can see here 1-2 centimeters over parts of the higher ground of southern upland. We've also got the Pennines going to be picking up on some snow, and then as that moisture moves further east into that colder air during the second half of tomorrow, we could have some minor accumulations over high parts of North Yorkshire and Northumberland into County Durham, and even high ground of Tyneside as well. We may see some accumulating snow for a period of time. In terms of temperature, this is how the temperatures are looking here as we progress through the course of this evening. So back to this morning here, obviously officially minus 9.3. There may have been a colder temperature, a colder spot, I don't know. But certainly unofficial temperatures minus 12.4, official temperatures not that far off, double digits below freezing. But what a waste of an easterly flow, right? We had almost a perfect synoptic pattern. We had the high pressure elongated, stretched out almost from Greenland all the way across the north side of Europe here. We had an easterly flow, but without cold air in Central Europe, we didn't have the level of cold. I noticed the dew points remained largely below the freezing level throughout much of last week, and all we were lacking was an actual cold source of air mass. The air mass was certainly dry. We have seen a week to even 10 days of zero sunshine in parts of England, for example, London, to be exact, while we've had 40 hours of sunshine in Stornoway and the Northwest Highlands. And it's generally here where we've seen the coldest temperatures. A lot of breeze and cloud cover throughout the course of the last 7 days has meant that this easterly flow has been, it's been keeping the temperatures at a rather subdued, generally 3 to 5 Celsius almost by day and by night. We've seen very little fluctuation in temperature diurnally in terms of by day and by night, because the conditions have remained fairly consistent in terms of a lot of cloud cover getting driven in off the North Sea and across many areas of the UK. And it just hasn't had a particularly cold air mass to tap into. Had that air mass been a lot colder and then transported underneath the high over Scandinavia towards the UK, we would have seen a much more notable period of colder weather. We would have seen more in the way of snow, and then with the higher pressure building in, last night and through the first half of tonight, we would have seen temperatures well in the double digits below freezing if we had the presence of snow cover. But we simply do not have any snow on the ground apart from the tops of the hills. So as we play through this loop, you can see here that the temperatures do drop back off once again, -4, -5 in some sheltered eastern glens, for example. We're seeing temperatures running upwards of 10 Celsius down in the southwest corner of the UK here, -5 in the East Grampian region. We've got temperatures across Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, generally mid to low single figures, some upper single figures across more southern areas. And then as we play through the course of tomorrow, you see that we're holding on to temperatures close to the freezing mark, east of the Pennines here, west of the Pennines, 3-4 Celsius here. So you can see that the cold air is kind of trapped on the eastern flank of the Pennines here, between the Pennines and the North Sea, for example. Milder conditions now starting to run in to southern areas of the UK. We've got the double figures above the freezing mark in the southwest, for example, close to that across southwest Wales, and also 12, possibly 13 Celsius down across southern portions of Ireland. We're going to remain chilly over the next several days, and over the last 7 days, 10 days or so, these are how the temperatures have looked in terms of the anomaly. So it has been a colder than average past 7 days across the UK, Ireland, and then that central strip. Obviously, the strong high keeping things very mild across the north of the continent here. But that westerly flow, or easterly flow, should I say, underneath the high, has kept temperatures slightly below freezing anywhere from the Baltic region all the way to the UK and Ireland, as can be seen here. But then as we move through the next 7 days, this is how things are. This is the month to date, by the way. So we are actually now at or slightly below the average for the month of February. This comes off the back of a slightly colder than average January, warmer than average December, right enough. So overall, it looks as if this winter is going to pan out very close to average when you factor in December, January, and February. I had a slightly warmer than average winter overall, but with back and forth of mild versus cold. And I think that has materialised. And I think the overall thinking, the overall idea has been pretty good, I think, overall. You can let me know in the comment section below what you think about how my winter forecast has been versus what's actually taking place. I get southerners across the UK have been frustrated by a lack of snow. Perhaps you could argue a lack of cold as well. But generally speaking, this has been a somewhat typical winter in the modern era, where we've seen some significant cold. For example, we had some of the coldest January days since 1982, for example, back around the 10th, 11th of January. We've seen the coldest temperature for January since 2010, when we had minus 18.9. We've seen a major surge of warmth. Castley in Sutherland going from well below freezing to plus 15.7 for a UK January maximum. So we've had a lot of back and forth. We've had Storm Eowyn. I'm trying to remember if we had a storm back in December, but I think overall this winter has played out not bad, really. The overall general thinking has been pretty decent, I think. And so this is obviously the month to date, and this is how the next 7 days is looking according to the ECMWF. So staying below the average here for mainland UK, warmer than average across Ireland and Northern Ireland. We're closer to that southerly flow. But like I've harped on about for some time, the UK is going to hold on to that chill as we progress through the early portions of next week. And then as you move to the 7 to 14 day, you can see here that we are firmly warmer than average, as can be seen here off the ECM extended. Looking at the CFSV2, upcoming 5 days, upcoming 7 days, average to slightly below average across the bulk of mainland UK, with exceptions of southwest Wales and southwestern England. Warmer than average, again, like the CMWF over the UK, Ireland and Northern Ireland here. Firmly warmer than average across southwestern Europe, but look at the Central and Eastern Europe, firmly below average. And like the ECM, it has a much milder 7 to 14 day period as we start to see southerly winds becoming more prominent across the west of the continent here. So yes, we are going to see a steady rise in temperature as we progress through, particularly the weekend for southwestern areas, staying chilly across the bulk of England and Scotland, especially the further east you go. And then as we progress into early next week, we're going to see a steady climb out of this nagging chill that we have become quite used to. In terms of the United States, we are seeing multiple areas of low pressure. We've got a ridge of high pressure with the southeast. We've got bitterly colder across the north. We've seen lots of severe weather as a consequence, flood and rainfall, rain, sleet, snow, freezing rain, and we are going to potentially see some extreme cold dropping southwards during the course of next week across the United States. There will be a live stream this upcoming Sunday at 4 p.m. We're going to look at that in a bit more detail. These are the temperatures, by the way, across Europe. And you can see here, very cold across the north and central areas, milder the southeast and southwest, and across southwestern Ireland also. I'm just trying to think if I've showed everything that I've intended to show. We will look at the MJO, we will look at the polar vortex in the coming days to come. Keep it right here in the channel. Another busy weekend coming up. The European Outlook will be on tomorrow, and then the live, like I say, on Sunday at 4 p.m. as usual. And then there will be a slight adjustment to the schedule mid to late next week, but more on that in the next couple of days. So I'll see you next time with more. Bye for now.